Playoff implications on the line in Tuscaloosa. Heisman hopeful Ty Simpson and Alabama looking to make it 9 straight wins after dropping the season opener, taking on number 11 Oklahoma. John Mateer and the Sooners looking to be the first SEC team in a decade to beat Bama in back-to-back seasons. This will help. Simpson pass picked off by Eli Bowen, 87 yards, pick 6. Sooners up 10-0, their largest deficit since their Week 1 loss at Florida State. Perhaps some foreshadowing. Final seconds of the first half. Alabama now down 17-14, and they're looking to tie it with a field goal here. And Adam, look, this is from 36 yards out. You got to have this. But Connor Talty's kick blocked by Taylor Wine.
It's a great job by Wine getting through the line. Look at the jump there, the extension, getting a finger on it. Might have missed it even without the block, but a great play by Wine.
Miscues piling up for Alabama. Mid-third, Simpson to Isaiah Horton, 26-yard gainer. 2 plays later, Daniel Hill, and Alabama has the lead 21-20. But Beanie, miscues were the theme for the Tide. Simpson strip sacked by Wine. Oklahoma recovers.
In critical moments, you have to take care of the football. Kudos to OU for making these plays without their best pass rusher, R. Mason Thomas. They still got a lot of pressure on this quarterback, and here, forcing turnovers.
Sooners tack on a field goal to go up 23-21, 17 points off of 3 Alabama turnovers. Under 3 minutes left in the fourth. Need an answer. Still down 23-21. Lazier Brooks gets the reverse, just gets the first down, keeps the drive alive. Later in the drive, less than a minute to play. 4th and 6, gotta have it. Nope. Ty Simpson's throw broken up by Peyton Bowen. Ryan Williams, the intended receiver. The Bowen brothers making a huge impact.
You gotta love it when brothers come out and make big plays in the game. I'm so glad the referees did not call pass interference right there. We've known other situations where they throw a flag for less.
Massive win for Brent Venables and the Sooners. They snap Alabama's 17-game home winning streak, win at 23-21. First SEC team to beat Alabama in back-to-back seasons since Ole Miss did so in 2014 and 2015. It's Oklahoma's 4th win against a ranked team this season, tied for the most in FBS with Alabama. And the Sooners' playoff hopes still very much alive. Alabama losing the turnover battle, turning the ball over 3 times in the defeat. CBS Sports HQ presented by Belfour Property Restoration. Back here with Ohio State running back Beanie Wells, Penn State tight end Adam Breneman. Look, I'm going to read you the way the first quarter went for Alabama, Adam. Punt, pick 6, down 10-0. It was, they started slow, they started behind, and they took the lead at one point. Yeah. But it was the turnovers that did them in this game.
Yeah, this was a clinic by Brent Venables, Oklahoma's head coach and play caller on that side of the ball. This was a signature win for Brent Venables. He won that matchup against Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer, an offensive coach. Venables, a defensive coach. We know who came out on top. And Oklahoma's defense wasn't perfect all game. They gave up 400 yards of offense, but it was the big plays in the biggest moments. 4 sacks Oklahoma got in this game against Alabama. Also forced 3 turnovers, no bigger than the pick 6 in the early part of this game that gave Oklahoma a 10-0 lead. Ended up being too much for Alabama to come back from. But it's good to see Brent Venables, with all the ups and downs he's had during his career at Oklahoma, to get that signature win against Bama.
Look, in big matchups, you have to win certain battles, and those battles are the turnover margin, which they didn't win. They didn't win the trenches, in my opinion, especially when we talk about giving up 4 sacks and the pressure that they allowed to be put on their young quarterback. I know people talk so much about Ty Simpson and his ability and how good he looked this season, but he's still the first-year starting quarterback. You let him put the ball in the air 42 times. You weren't able to be successful running the football. Yes, you won the rushing battle in terms of the yardage, but you didn't run the ball effectively when you needed to the most. That question mark is still going to be there with Kalen DeBoer, and if this Bama football team under his tutelage is not as physical and tough when it matters most. Are they a finesse football team? Did they change their identity? I think that question mark that looms is certainly valid.
Well, there was a key play in the end of the third quarter. There was a sack fumble. Ty Simpson gets sacked, fumble recovered. Then Oklahoma goes down on the next possession and scores a field goal, which ends up being the difference in this game. And if you think back at the end of the first half, Alabama missed a field goal at the end of the first half. In these games, as you said, the margins are so razor thin. It was a high snap. The holder got the ball down, but it messed with the kicker's rhythm. And you're talking about those little moments in a game where you're playing a team like Oklahoma. You cannot make mistakes if you're Alabama.
No, you cannot afford to make these mistakes in these big moments, understanding, what's at stake. And what's at stake is an opportunity to win an SEC title, get to the SEC title game, get into a college football playoff, and going against a team, in my opinion, in which you have more talent than. I think it's a matter of coaching decisions and how you are going to game plan in these moments for your football team. Again, I'll say it to the cows come home. When you got a young quarterback, as good as they may seem, in big moments, you can't put too much on their shoulders, or in this case, on Ty Simpson's arm and expecting him to be able to bail you out. He has that kind of ability, but in this moment, I certainly would have put all of it on him, and that's what they did to their detriment.
And there's been little things in Kalen DeBoer's Alabama program that have come back to bite them. It's been penalties, it's been not being physical at the line of scrimmage, but there are even things like clock management decisions in this game. How about the last drive of the game? Alabama had the ball to try to win the game down 2 points. If they don't get a first down on third down and fourth down and long, they still have 2 timeouts in their pocket to get a stop and get the ball back. But Alabama, late getting a play call in, have to burn a timeout, which is inexcusable at that point in the game, and that comes down to coaching. You can blame the quarterback, but you got a young quarterback in his first year starting. That's on Kalen DeBoer. That's on Nick Sheridan, the offensive coordinator. They have to get the play call in on time, burn the timeout, and then when they don't get the first down, the game's over.
And how about Peyton Bowen getting his hand in there? And a big night for the Bowen family because Eli Bowen earlier in the game had the 87-yard pick six, his second career interception, both against Alabama. So the Bowen brothers coming out and playing big. Like, I love when we get these little storylines in here with two brothers making a huge impact in a game of this magnitude.
Imagine going home and going back to the hometown and talking about, we just did against Alabama in a tough environment. I mean, what an incredible moment for these guys. And then to be brothers, how do you think the parents are feeling?
Oh, they love. I mean, if I had two sons that both went to Oklahoma, I'd already be happy. I already felt like I win the lottery.
And both of them were massive plays.
Huge.
I mean, the pick six by Eli Bowen, then Peyton Bowen to get the hand in there at the very end of the game.
No PI.
Down. No PI. Did a great job of body control, getting his hips around so he didn't run into the receiver early. Got the hand in, broke up the pass, and took a knee to end the game.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
We talk about, Ryan Williams and him being compared to Jeremiah Smith. That probably has to stop at this point in time. Big moments.
Cut it out.
Yeah.
Still talented, but not maybe
100%.
equally as talented. Still a talented
100%.
young man. I'm not going to knock Ryan Williams when he's down because he also didn't have a great game either. He muffed the catch, did he not?
Yeah. Yep.
So these are games here when these little moments, these little mistakes, they turn big, and now you have a situation where Oklahoma, certainly their playoff hopes are still alive because you look at Oklahoma's schedule rest away, Missouri and LSU. They could end the season here a 10-2 season, Adam.
Yeah, and the best piece for Oklahoma is that when John Mateer's fully healthy, it's a completely different offense. John Mateer didn't shock anyone on the stat sheet, but he got plays done with his legs when he had to, ran for a touchdown, and this game was efficient with the football. The best stat category for him, no turnovers, took care of the ball. This is a much better Oklahoma team when Mateer's fully healthy because of the threat he brings with his legs. And now that he had a bye week, had a few weeks to get that hand healthy, this Oklahoma team is for real, and they should win the next 2 games of this season.
And there's certain games in the season where stats don't even matter. And this was one of those games where stats did not matter for this Oklahoma football team. They made the plays when they needed to. That's the most critical thing in big-time matchups and big moments when you need to win. Can your team make the play at the most critical time? Oklahoma was able to do that.
Well, what's going to happen now is now Alabama's going to fall out of the top 4, right? So we play hypothetical. Alabama falls out of the top 4. That gives Georgia an opportunity to move up with a win against Texas. Texas loses right here, Adam. Texas becomes a 3-loss team. Oklahoma's a 2-loss team. So Oklahoma is going to either move right in front of Alabama, going to be like 9 or 10 right there in terms of the rankings. And you're looking at a situation here where you have another SEC team into the field, because if you can get that 10th team as an SEC team in, because right now we're projecting the ACC champ to be that 11 seed and the group of 5 to be the 12 seed. So if you're there at 10 and are you going to give Oklahoma that 10 seed? You're going to give Alabama the 10 seed because of the head-to-head.
Yeah, I mean,
it's tough,
it's
right?
gonna be tough.
It's
yeah,
going to be tough because
there's a real chance we get 6 teams now in the
right.
playoff from the SEC.
Oh,
I know, as a Big Ten guy.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to see it. There's already been so much talk about.
No doubt. We need USC to beat Oregon so we get USC and Oregon in the playoff.
Right.
But this is going to be the conversation come Tuesday now, is because now you could see Alabama go from 4 to 10, and you see Oklahoma jump up a couple spots. Like that's what's every week with these playoff implications. And if Texas wins tonight, it's going to be absolute chaos.
You know, we talked
right?
about it on Tuesday after the show that we did, after
Yep.
they came out with the rankings, about there being still so much time for so much carnage and cannibalism to happen within the SEC. Yep. And tonight, it's playing out right before our eyes. I thought, and I said it on Tuesday, when we watch Alabama, their inability to be able to run the ball consistently will come back to haunt them. And tonight, in my opinion, although they won in terms of the yardage, it came back to haunt them in the biggest of ways because they put too much on a young quarterback.
Yeah.
Alabama had won 8 straight since that loss to Florida State at the beginning of the season. Now that you see they lose, this will be a good loss because they'll look at the Oklahoma loss. Okay, that is a loss that you can take, you can absorb. What is your evaluation of Alabama? Because I think a lot of people before this week and even weeks prior were thinking Alabama is a complete team, and I'm not saying that they're not, but if you can't win games like this, where the margins are so thin and you're losing the turnover margin and you're making mistakes that you don't necessarily make all the time in a game of this magnitude, then people go, okay, I'm not real sure about Alabama in this situation, in the playoff. Will they get a bye? Like, you start to ask questions about who they are.
Yeah, I mean, I think Alabama is a great football team. Sorry, they're a good football team, not a great football team. They would be great if they didn't make the mistakes in the most critical moments. I think that's something that they'll have to go back to the drawing board and figure out, how do I get my young quarterback to make the right decisions? When there's pressure in his face, get him to throw it away. Don't try to force balls downfield. How do I get my wide receivers to be consistent in catching the ball and holding on in critical moments? And then shoring up the protection for my young quarterback is going to be critical.
But is it more, though, Adam, about Oklahoma being good enough to put Alabama in those tough situations?
Yeah, I was just going to say, the positive for Alabama is that they really dominated this game in the trenches, had 400 yards of total offense, won the total yard battle by over 200 yards. It was those turnovers and Ty Simpson making the mistakes that lost them this game. If I'm Kalen DeBoer, my message to the locker room is, we have 2 losses. We just won. We just went on a great winning streak to get to this point. And now everything we want is still in front of us. It's about cleaning up the little things, playing more physical, running the football well, putting our quarterback in a good spot, getting some turnovers on defense that could have flipped this game a bunch as well. And if you're Brent Venables, you're saying, hey, we just beat Alabama and didn't even really play that well. All right, we had 200 yards of offense. John Mateer played okay, not amazing, enough to win the game, but there's still things to clean up for Oklahoma if they want to run the table as well and make the college football playoff.
The one question that I do have is, how will Alabama deal with the noise that we know is coming? Anytime Alabama loses a game, oh, we got to get Kalen DeBoer out of here.
The sky is falling.
You know, the sky is falling down. What will happen to this football team once they start hearing this noise in this moment?
Kalen DeBoer, if they don't appreciate you at Alabama, we'll take you at Penn State as our head coach. Come to State College. We'll love you. You'll be a great fit in State College.
There you go. There you heard the pitch from Adam Breneman. Kalen DeBoer, get him to Penn State is what he's saying. Yeah, people in Tuscaloosa will be like, yeah, you can take him. You can take him. We'll find another coach. That's how they are there. Look, every time Alabama loses, what do? We always compare them to what happened in Nick Saban's time. So there's this. Beating Alabama in back-to-back seasons since 2007, Nick Saban's first season. Oklahoma is the 4th such team to do so since 2007. Look, Oklahoma beat them last year. And they beat them this year, and it was because it was. And you're sitting here, if you're Alabama, you're going, well, it wasn't. We beat ourselves. I mean, that's what you're going to sit here and you're going to be thinking is that, man, we beat ourselves in this situation with the 3 turnovers. Last year, it was all Oklahoma. They won 24-3. So you just got beat down. This game was a game where you should have won, considering what you did, but you don't. And now Alabama has 2 losses, and Oklahoma has 2 losses, and now the chaos continues in the college football conversation.